It's a lot of adjustment that we weren't willing to do a month ago. But for those of you that don't know the story, Kirah, greatest cat ever, all right? Kirah showed up at our house about a month and 10 days ago. She showed up at our house out of nowhere. We woke up one day, we opened the front door, and boom, she's just on the doorstep, looking up at us, meowing, being super cute, but she was stick thin, she was covered in dirt, she was neglected, she had gray hair, so we were like, oh, she's an old cat, she has gray hair. Then we Googled it, and apparently that gray hair can be a sign of malnutrition, neglect, and abuse. And we were like, bro, our heart broke, man. We were just like, this little thing is so cute. And so we were like, all right, well, it's not our cat. It's someone else's cat. It had a collar on, by the way. And we're like, it's someone else's cat. So hashtag not our cat happened. And we had this whole thing where we were like, it's not our cat. It's someone's cat. It just happens to be here. So we'll love it and we'll care for it, but it's going to go home. And we did everything. We did everything in our power to get that kitty back to its rightful home. Like, we took it to the vet. We didn't even have a cat carrier. We had to borrow that off Dave and Kerry. We took it to the vet to see if it was microchipped. No microchip. All right. That's a bit tricky. We look at its collar. There's no name. There's no anything. All right. That's a bit tricky. We looked around the neighborhood and we're like, let's take it for a walk. No leash or anything, because we're like, it's not our cat. So we just walked up the road and it followed us up the road. And we went around the entire neighborhood seeing if it sees its home and it goes back there. But nothing. We did the entire neighborhood. It walked with us. We went back home. It came back home and it just sat at our doorstep. We drove. We went out one night and we were like, by the time we get home, it'll be gone. We get back. It's still at the doorstep. We went to Bunnings. We went to the gym. We went everywhere. We did whatever we wanted. Came home and it's just sitting on the doorstep. And we were like, this thing needs to eat. So we started getting some food. We had that. We just started caring for it. And we're like, we need to figure this out. I'm calling up pet shops. I'm calling up shelters. I'm like, what do I do with this cat? And they're just like, nothing you can really do, until one pet shop called Pet Stock. Shout out to Pet Stock, Campbelltown. One pet shop. No, I think it was Pet Stock. I don't know. I don't think it was Campbelltown. It was Pet Stock something. The point is, one of these was like, we know a rescue shelter. You can call them, they might take it. You know what I mean? Did you try asking the cat? I did, Solomon. I did. I'm like, where are you from? Where is your home? What's your name? What's your birthday? Nothing. Just kept meowing at me. I'm like, Google Translate doesn't work with meows. Can confirm. So there we are. The cutest little kitty has shown up. It's neglected. It's starving. Like, we gave it a can of food, and like the can said like one of these a day or whatever. We gave it. It polished that thing clean in 2 seconds. Opened up another can just to see, and it just downed that one as well. And we were like, wow, this thing is like legitimately hungry. So eventually, all we could do, we weren't willing to make that life commitment, because it really is a life commitment. These things can live for up to like 20 years. Like, that's wild, fam. Like, craziness. And so we weren't willing to make that life commitment. We were like, our life is too chaotic. We travel too much. We have all these different things going on. Work is, big. Like, life is big. There's lots of things. Yo, speaking of lots of things, look at this champion, Mr. Kinesi, with the tier 3, Ken. Let's go, bro. Love that, man. Tier 3 MVP for 31 months. And he said, almost forgot to hit this button also. And then a whole bunch of hype. Love that. Love that. Kinesi, love you, bro. Thank you for the hype. Thank you for the tier 3. That's incredible. That is incredible. Get a deer camera. It's solar powered and waterproof and motion sensor SKAR. You can access it through your phone or computer and show us it. Black Beauty, you've really put a lot of thought into this. I like it. Give it food and it will never leave. Yeah, pretty much, Sienna. But if we didn't, because we didn't give it food for like days, and it was just getting thinner and thinner, and we're like, this thing, and then it started getting attacked by stray cats. Like, stray cats were showing up to our doorstep and clawing little kitty. And little kitty doesn't know what to do, so it just rolls onto its back and lies there while screaming. And we had to like run downstairs and scare off the little cat. Not the little cat. Scare off the strays. And as soon as we open the door, the strays bolt away, and the little one runs to our ankles and is like cowering. And we're like, dude, this thing's way too cute. And so anyway, we drive it hours away to this rescue shelter place. We give it there. The lady who runs the shelter is messaging us updates and like, yeah, it's doing well. And they said, do you want to name it? We said, no, it's not. The whole time we were like, hashtag not our cat, right? We were like, we can't name it, then we'll get attached to it, all that kind of stuff. So we didn't name it. And then we get there and she said, oh, do you want to name it? And we said, no, that's okay. You know, you can do that. The new owner can do that, whatever. And we left. That afternoon, I get a message from her. And she says, we named it Kirah after Kieran and Sarah. Like the shelter, the rescue shelter named this cat Kirah. Bro, it's probably the closest I've ever been to crying about a cat before. Because that was an emotional roller coaster. We're driving back 10 days. 10 days we've been looking after this thing somewhat, spending time with it. We've spent more time in those 10 days out in the sun than ever, because every lunch break, instead of watching Netflix, we would just sit on the lawn and this thing would just lie down next to us and like cuddle up around us and then just go do its own thing. It's also a mega introvert cat, which works beautifully for us because my wife is also an introvert. So, you know, they both go, all right, you know, we'll chill for a bit and then I'm going to go do my own thing. And she would. So it worked. So Kirah was out of our life. We had dropped her off. She had been named after us, which is adorable. And she's now at the shelter. We will never see her again. And then we started to miss her. Day 1 goes by. Day 2 goes by. We're not spending any time outdoors anymore. We're not relaxing the way that we were. We kept her collar. So every time we open the pantry, we look and we see her collar sitting there. And we both just go, oh, we liked this cat. We just called it Cat before. We liked Cat. Cat was great. And you guys named it SKAR Cat. And we were like, we liked SKAR Cat. SKAR Cat was awesome, but it's gone now. And then, 200 IQ moment. We went, what if we convinced Sarah's mum to take it? That was the plan. That was the master plan, family. What if we get Sarah's mum to take it? So we started doing everything. And I mean everything. We were dropping hints. It wasn't even hints at some point. There was a point where Sarah just straight out, blank face, looked her mum in the eye, risked annihilation, looked her mum in the eye and said, I am bringing Kirah to your house and it will be your cat. And we will come over and play with it. But you're getting a cat, mum. You need it. You're getting a cat. And Sarah's mum is like, absolutely not. I am not getting a cat. I don't want a cat. I've never wanted a cat. It's not happening. No. And Sarah's like, yes, it is. We're getting you a cat. And eventually, we're like, the Lord has provided because, what? 3 days ago? 3 days ago, we get a message. We get a message from Sarah's sister. And Sarah's sister is like, hey, a random kitten has appeared in our backyard. Not Kirah. This one's littler. But there's a random kitten here and we don't know what to do. What do we do? And Sarah and I, we looked at each other. We put on our superhero capes and we said, leave it to us. Another! Yes, literally Victini. Another cat has appeared. This one is white. It's got like a tail with like gray rings around it. So we ended up naming it Possum because it was like a ringtail possum, but it's a ringtail cat. And so Possum appears in their backyard and we said, look, we've got a cat carrier. We have a cat bed. We've got cat food all sitting here in our house. The leftovers of Kirah that for some reason 10 days was enough for us to go, let's buy all the things, right? Anyway, leave that there. So we drive to Sarah's mum's house. We show up. We help them out. Eventually, by the following morning, that cat was adorable, by the way. Possum, cutie. But the following morning, we found out where Possum had come from. It came from the neighbor's house. Possum had 2 siblings there, and the neighbor was taking them to the vet and getting them all sorted. So Possum didn't stay. But we were like, this is the Lord. This is God giving Sarah's mum a sign that she should get a cat. Yeah, how sometimes you interpret things and you go, God is saying this thing to someone else, but definitely not to me. Yeah. So we're like, Sarah's mum is going to be convinced now. She had Possum. Possum was super cute. Now that Possum is gone, that love that she had for Possum will then translate and she'll be like, all right, fine, I'll take Kirah. And then everyone wins. And by everyone wins, I mean she has the responsibility of looking after Kirah, of feeding Kirah, of cleaning up after Kirah, all that. And Sarah and I get to show up, play with Kirah, and leave. Like that was our master plan. Until the day after Possum left. And we said, hey, Sarah's mum. So it's Kirah time, right? You just got Possum. That was amazing, right? And Sarah's mum essentially says she's never been more convinced that she doesn't want a cat because of how much anxiety she felt in that one day. Literally, she couldn't sleep because she knew this little cat was outside and that it was cold and that it was hungry and all the things. And Sarah's mum was just like, I can't handle that level of stress. I can't do it. She's like, I've had kids already. I don't want to do that again. Like, I'm done. Finito. I'll gladly live my life and go where I want, when I want, and do what I want. Like, I'm good. But Possum has shown me that Kirah is not for us. And that's when Sarah went on the offensive. Sarah was like, all right, I can't convince Mum. I'm just going to say we're doing it. So Sarah's mum comes over. And as Sarah's mum is leaving the house, Sarah goes, bye, see you tomorrow. We're bringing you Kirah. Like, we're going to go get Kirah for you tomorrow. This is happening. Sarah's mum is like, absolutely not, don't you dare. And Sarah's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And there was just back and forth. There was the standoff, right? The stalemate. Sarah's mum's like, don't you do it. Sarah's like, I'm going to do it. You know, the child who was just like adamant and the parent who was also adamant, and they're both just like not seeing eye to eye. So right after this, Sarah's mum leaves. She goes home. Yeah, stamps her feet. Basically that. All right. So then we're in this scenario where Sarah's mum has now left. Sarah is there with me, and Sarah's like, we need to go get the cat. And I stop for the first time. For the first time in my life, Black Beauty says, I'm loving story time with SKAR. Good. Yo, what up, Ad? Thank you for the follow. God bless you, and welcome to the SKAR fam. Good to have you here, legend. All right. So for the first time, I make a different suggestion. I fold. I concede. I throw in the white towel. I throw in the flag. I say, Sarah, I don't think your mum's going to take Kirah. I've been trying to convince her for a month. You've been trying to convince her for a month. We've done everything from loving hints to straight forcefulness. And none of it has worked. None of it. Literally none. She's not convinced. She's not getting Kirah. It's not going to happen. Meaning, Sarah, we've got two options. We forget about Kirah and we move on with our lives. Or we adopt Kirah. We take in the rescued, abandoned, neglected, abused kitty that showed up on our doorstep one day that we nursed back to health and gave to a rescue shelter. We go back to that rescue shelter and we say, it's been a month. We miss her. She needs a home. She needs love. She needs people that will genuinely care about her. And we absolutely do. She's literally named after us. We will take Kirah. And bro, that moment, that was a hard decision. This was a couple of nights ago. We're in bed, stayed up until crazy hours of the morning, just talking about it and just going, do we, don't we, pros and cons. We even talked, Sinner, you literally just said in the chat, SKAR fam will love her. Well, we literally talked about setting up like a scratching posty kind of thing. And then I was like, well, I'm good with that. I'd love her to be in the stream room with me, but this place is not safe. There's cables everywhere. I don't want her to get electrocuted. So I was like, maybe we get like a cage, like an enclosure kind of one. So that way she's still got her space, but she can't just free roam the room. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the go. So still thinking through options. Haven't quite figured it all out yet. But we also came to the conclusion that eventually we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? We're like, we've got, like, if anyone could do this, it's us, right? Like we've got time, we've got money, we've got no other dependents. Like we've got the space. Like we could give Kirah a good home. Kirah could be the most spoiled kitty in OCE, and we have the ability to make that happen should we choose to. It's just going to be a big life shift because there's a lot to change. And as soon as we start considering this, of course, Sarah's work friends are like, yo, anytime you want to travel, we'll look after Kirah. It's fine. Like, we got you. Like, you know, literally cat toys coming to the SKAR fam merch shop, right? Says Sinner. Oh, so good. So we think, do we do this? And then we thought, you know what? What do we do with every major life decision? Like, what do we do? We pray about it. That's what Sarah and I do. It's part of our process is we stop and we pray, and then we go, do we feel anything? Do we feel like God is hinting at something, saying something, are there, whatever. And I remember I prayed this just a couple of nights ago, and I was just like, God, if this isn't what you want, take it away. Like, take this away. Like, literally get someone else to adopt her. We'll go visit her at the pet shop, and if she's not there anymore, so be it. You know, stop us from being able to get it. Do something, like, make it clear. Like, don't give us peace about this if you don't want this to happen. But if you do want this to happen, then make that equally as clear. Make it the most easy, streamlined process ever. Make everything fall into place. Just make it happen in the most natural way you could possibly imagine. Like, just allow this to be what it is. And, you know, then we started stopping and thinking and assessing things a little bit. And we were like, you know, the week before Kirah showed up, if you guys recall, for those of you that are following my wife on Instagram, there was some Insta stories because there was another kitty. There was a kitten that showed up the week before Kirah showed up. That was here for like a couple hours, disappeared, we've never seen it again. Then Kirah shows up a week later. And we have that whole adventure that we just talked about. And then Possum shows up at Sarah's mum's house a couple of days ago. Now, Sarah and I have been married for 6 years. We've been dating and known each other for even longer than that. I've been alive for 31 years. And in 31 years of my life, this has never happened ever. Not once, ever. And yet somehow in the last month and a half, multiple places, multiple locations, and every time we get this same sense of, oh man, this is really fun. This is enjoyable. This is cute. We like it. It felt therapeutic. Today on my lunch break, I sat on the lawn and I just had some downtime. Like, I was literally just sitting there, like, just chilling. Like, just chilling, listening to the silence of the wind. I was talking to God a bit. I was having some prayer time, just sitting there. I don't normally do that on my lunchtime. Normally, I go and watch Formula 1 on Netflix. Like, that's my recent addiction. But, like, today, this morning, we went and got Kirah, and then today, I just sat. And I was just listening to myself, listening to God, just listening to my heartbeat. Like, just taking some downtime. And I feel like I needed this little kitty to be the excuse for me to do that and to allow myself to rest in that way. And that was a pretty big deal. You know what I mean? And so after all that, we decided we're doing this. Let's make it happen. But anyone who's known my wife and I for more than 5 minutes know that we don't do things in halves, do we? Like, it's full send or no send. Those are your options, okay? You're either all in or don't bother. So when we said, let's get this cat, that then turned into, let's renovate the house. Like, I'm talking, I've been getting quotes from tradies to turn a part of our backyard into a cat sanctuary. Like, I'm talking like artificial turf along the floor, so that way it doesn't have to worry about, you know, some of the things that you typically have to worry about, like eating the wrong plants and whatnot. We're talking about having like netting and fences in different places so we can just free roam that whole area, not get attacked by strays. We're talking all these things, and we're like full set, like all out, like hold nothing back. We go or we don't go, and we decided that we go. And so so then get this, we start going, wait, Kirah has been moved from the shelter to Pet Stock, which is like a pet shop where you can adopt a kitty. Kirah's there now, which means every single minute that Kirah's there is the opportunity of someone else taking our baby. Not on my watch. So we're like, we got to do this now. We have a 24-hour deadline. This convo was yesterday. And we're like, we have to get her. So I went and visited her yesterday just to make sure. Actually, I visited her on Sunday. Sarah and I visited her on Sunday at the pet shop just to see that she was still there, which she was. Amazing. I went back yesterday to get a vibe and make sure, which I did. She was there. She was great. And then we were like, we're doing this. And so this morning, I was at the pet shop before they even opened the doors. Like, I woke up, I got dressed, and I was out there. Like, it was like 8 in the morning, and I'm in the car. I'm out. You know what I mean? We get there. We make it happen. We pick up Kirah, and she's now downstairs finally chilling. But, like, even telling the staff the story, because the staff looked, and they're like, this cat's name is Kirah, and your name is Kieran, and your wife's name is Sarah. What are the chances of that? What a coincidence. I'm like, not a coincidence. That cat's named after us, and not by us. We didn't name Kirah. The rescue shelter named it after us because we're the ones that found her and saved her and brought her to the rescue shelter, and now we get to make it happen. Yeah, it's actually funny when I was at the pet shop because they're like, thank you for the nuggets. At the pet shop, they're like, oh, do you need like all the things? And I'm like, absolutely. I've never had a pet before. I've never had a cat. I need all the things. I need all the training. I need all the, give me the YouTube, you know, like breakdown. I need like all the things. And so we're walking through and the lady goes, all right, it's your first cat. So you're probably not going to full send, right? She's pointing out like the kitty litter tray thing. And then she's like, this is the one Kirah's currently using, which is like the big beefy one. But this one is like half the price and, you know, better value. So like, yeah, you know, I assume you want the entry level. And I'm like, no. Kirah has been neglected and abused for the first part of her life. She's never living that way again. She's living like a queen, all right? And so I'm like, we'll take the big one. Thank you very much. And then like when it came to the food stuff, they're like, oh yeah, you know, you could just get like a bowl for like the food and a bowl for the water. And then she stops and she goes, oh, here though, like as in at the pet shop, she's like, here, Kirah's a little bit fancy and she drinks from a water fountain. Like she has her own fountain. And she's like, yeah, here, Kirah's got a fancy like water fountain, but you don't need that. And I'm like, whoa, is that what she's used to? They're like, yeah. I'm like, we get in the fountain. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. Fountain. Let's go. In the trolley. So I walk out, full trolley. There's a cat and there's a full trolley with a fountain, with like the nice bed that like everything that they recommend. I was the upsell chump of the century. Like they could have been like, oh, Kirah actually, you know, has gold foil and truffle oil in her food. And I would just be like, add it to the cart. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't mucking around. We've never had a cat. All right. We've never had a cat before. And we're not planning on having kids. So this is like my chance to fully dote on something and just like send it. And so, pretty keen, not gonna lie. So moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, is that if the SKAR fam says you're gonna do something, you're probably gonna end up doing it. Because you guys called it. You guys were calling Kirah SKAR cat on the day Kirah showed up. And I kept on saying hashtag not our cat. You won. Congratulations. Welcome to the family, Kirah! Let's go!